Okay, so now, if you are employed to design a network for a particular enterprise, at that point, you'll be serving as an architect to design their network. There are so many devices or so many applications you can use to do that. We have what they call Visio. Visio, you can have it here, but most of the time I don't really use it most of the time. So let me even see, maybe I have it here. Visio. I bought the Lancers one time like that. Okay, yeah, let me bring it out. Okay, I will share the screen now. But most of the time I don't use it. But it's better to know it because some interviewers, they will have to, do you know about Visuals? This is Visio. It's designed by, it's owned by Microsoft. So what is meant for is just to show the graphical analysis of a network. So if you, let me see more templates, detailed diagram. Let's see this one. I don't want to create anything, but there's been one that have been designed before. Okay, let me see if I have. Okay. Now you can use Visio to do some analysis for clients, or to show for your skill set in a meeting, or for some clients that don't have technical knowledge. Now all the shapes are here, all the networking shapes, they are here. You can, let me, more shapes, engineering. Okay, engineering, mechanical, network. Okay.
So can you enlarge it a little bit? It's too tiny.
Oh, it's too tiny?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let me stop sharing because for me it's very broad here. I'm using big screen to show it, but I don't know why it's too tiny. Is it better now?
It's still the same thing.
Oh, that means it's not showing. Oh, I don't know. It's very wide here. Okay, I'll stop sharing again. Let me try it again. Or I'll bring it here. Okay. Let me show. Okay, what about now?
It's kind of better, sure.
It's better now, but I don't know why. I'm showing it full screen. So now, if you look at this design, we are digressing, but we are still on the same part of what we want to do. What I want to do is to show us how to design a network, how enterprise network always look like. From there, we configure each of those devices and we troubleshoot it. And then troubleshooting need is the knowledge you have, you can defend in any interview that, oh, I've done this project before, I've done the other project before. So every lab will be doing will be the project you can technically, confidently put in your resume that, oh, I've done this one before. This is how to do this. Because like me, I'm a good resource for everybody here to guide us on network security and even networking and network security. How this is what I do on a daily basis. I meet clients, I log into their devices either through Zoom, or I have on-site job that I will have gone to on the 7th of this month, but it was scheduled to January 15th, which I'm equally preparing for. So everything I'll be saying here is based on my knowledge, it's based on what is obtainable and best practices in the enterprise environment. So now, if you look at here, this is a router, this is server, this is a switch, this is a printer, and it is a firewall. And then let's bring internet, because everything here is based on networking peripherals. They put it here for us to work, for us to show to our clients that doesn't have a network incline or network idea. So because when you are many people are talking, saying something that's too complex, they want to see it virtually. So this is what I'm saying. This is where this one will be. This is where that one will be. Okay, this is, let's put this link here. Okay, let me start doing the links small. Visual is a bit complex sometimes. I don't want to go that route, Jerry. Okay, maybe this one will take our time. Let me go to my lab. I have everything here too. So let me start bringing things out. The first thing I'll bring out is our Windows devices. Maybe I'm being employed to design a network for an operation on an organization. This is what I would do. Maybe they have 5 users. These users, we can name it our own. Each person on this lab, on this training now, we can name it on our own. So each person will become each user here. So if you have your own company and then you want to connect to outside world, you need to meet a Comcast representative in your environment. So this is what we use to simulate that. This is our network, management network. Don't bother by yourself about all this. This is just to simulate environment. Knowing how to do it is good. It's like using a dummy car to learn how to drive. Okay.
Excuse me, please. Hello?
Okay, I'm with you.
Yes, I can see your lab, yeah. I'm still seeing, yeah.
Are you the only one not seeing it, or?
I see this one, the one that you're doing before, but the one you're talking about now, I can't see it.
I can see your lab too.
Okay. Like, let me reshare it.
I can see the V.
Okay, now, okay, I can see it now.
Okay, I can see it too now.
Okay, now, this is the method I want to use. The method many people use is, to me, it's not that it's complex, but the best way, because we are not trying to learn this and go for exam. We're trying to learn this and go for a job. So we just need to know, okay, this is where this, even when I left where I was trained, I didn't get all these full pictures. I didn't get the pictures. So I connected after visiting so many other lectures, other trainings. That's where they helped me to connect the dots. So now, what our purpose is to connect to internet. This is it. This is internet, for example. We connect to a switch. I just want to draw up a concept here. To connect a switch. Maybe 2 users first. Maybe we have 2 employees for the first time, and then they want them to connect to the switch. For example, now we have something LLC. It's a small company, and then they want to start business with other. They have a lot of clientele, and then they want employees to get access to internet and the internet user to have access to the server. But first of all, we are trying to set up networking setup for the 2 employees. So now if you look at these settings, I will go towards so many things quickly, but I just want us to know what is obtainable, what are we going to protect, what are we going to configure. If you look at this setting, this is just a simple or basic topology. We connect from the window, a cable, this is a cable, this is straight cable to the switch, and a switch to the internet. Now, if you look at it, there's nothing like security. It's just a simple connection. And there's nothing like segmentation. What I mean by segmentation is if I connect everything here, these 3 people, these 3 users, these 3 employees, they will be able to connect and communicate with themselves. Let us mean that we have, this is our HA and or HR device. Let's say, let's name it HR laptop or lab. So those are the theory behind the whole thing you'll be doing. We want to segment. We want to secure communication between all the users. Like me, where I work, I have limited access. That's what I call least privileges to certain things in environment. Because they give me access, I will abuse it. I can even give you access to. That's why they give me access based on what I need to get job done. So now, if you look at it from simple arithmetic, you see that we connect with switch. HP, that is HR and finance. This represents a whole department. This one represents a whole department. It is not good, technically, for both of them to be communicating, because somebody working in HR, there are 5 of them, they are being paid different range of salaries or income. This person, there will be a person here who is curious to know another person's salary. They can go to HR server or their workstation to deep dive on it, or to want curious to know about it. So it doesn't make any sense leaving it this way. So there will be another device that we need to bring to this network that will segment that, which is a router. Router will segment the network. That is why the router is coming. So we should know, when we started this lecture, I said the question will be more on why this is doing this. That is what we paint more picture to what we are learning. It doesn't difficult for me to start configuring all this and then we walk away. No, but we need to know, for people that want to move forward, to know why this is this, why this is why. And then majority of us here, it will show based on our questions, asking on this platform now, how many time we spend on learning on our own, because you might have questions to ask. So if you don't have any question to ask, it shows that you are not doing much behind the scene. If you are doing much behind the scene, there must be questions to ask. And then if you're curious to have your own lab, I've said it several times, few people met me fine, but anybody that wants it, if your device or your laptop can carry it, I can go that route and set it up. It doesn't cost me anything than time, but the person must have desire for it first. So let me remove this now. So if you are the architect you design this for an organization, is to show that there will be an error. So you need to employ another device, router. If you look at EFC router, well, I will bring one from here. I have a lot of them here. This is layer 3. They call them, the switch is layer 2, the router is layer 3. I will click on layer 3 and I'll save it. So I'll bring a router and I'll bring a firewall. Oh, which firewall we're gonna use? You can use any one of them, but okay, let's use FortiGate. And we'll go other route later. Okay. Let me disconnect this. Disconnecting this is like removing the cable from the port. So now I'll put the router here. I'll put a firewall here. So I connect it to the router. As it is now, they can't work because it's not been configured. Jojo is not plug and play. It's not unmanaged devices. You need to manage it. That is what you'll be paid for, how to manage it. However, there are some of these designs that are being functioning, or the business is still continue for a long time. Somebody has done all this configuration. Your own is just to manage it, because the more the company acquire more startups or some other company, the more their network will become expanded, or expanded, excuse me. So I'll bring another device here, this layer 3. So if you have a question as I'm doing this, you can ask. I will be doing justice to all that. So now I'll put these two here. And let me bring a server. If you have more than 4 servers, it's called server farm. So this is a web server. This is a window web server. So I'll bring a switch here. Bringing a switch here is just to make sure that in case in the future the network of the organization expands, we don't need to buy more switch again. We just need to plug to it, and then the environment start working. And let me bring switch ship out here. Anybody with question or questions to ask based on what we have done before or based on what I'm doing now? Everything is open. So don't worry about the shape. If it is switch, it's a switch. If you look at this one, this is switch, this is switch, but they have different shape. But the router is the same router. Look at their shapes. So now all these things, our agenda, we design it, and then we go above and beyond. We configure them for all of them to communicate. That is the purpose of networking security, networking and networking security. If they cannot talk, it doesn't make any sense. So now, if you look at this topology now, okay, hold on, I will label them. This one inside here is LAN. This is our LAN. Okay, let me bring the font with the size. Let me make it big for us to see it. LAN 1. Okay, this is our one. This is our LAN. One is the same thing as internet because it is wide area network. And then in the beginning, I said most of the time we'll be dealing majorly with just what? Just one and LAN and WAN. There's another design for segmentation. It's called DMZ, but I don't want to overbother you with that. We still need to do a lot of lab that will showcase so many design, but this is a very simple topology. That is, if you now, you are the owner of this business, look at how the picture paints. Let me do what's it called, a custom shape here. Let me save it. This is your organization. From here to here is your organization. You are the owner of this business. If I remove this firewall, for example, they can communicate freely. Attacker can attack your system. They can put malware, any other malicious protocol can come in from internet. You are traceable because this is your organization. A reasonable person will not invest over millions of dollars and leave his room or house open for anybody, because now if any of these user is going to internet, they can go to internet freely and come back freely. There's nothing to filter them, there's nothing to segment them, there's nothing to checkmate them. That is why firewall comes into play. All these other devices, they are just networking devices, they are not security. They have simple security layers which cannot protect the modern day certificated attacks. Only Kalinos on one of these devices can break everything here. As evolution of firewalls, devices increases, so also the attack surface increases. It's like pen and pencil and eraser. The more they design your pencil, the more they design another fanciful eraser too. So I don't know why it works like that, but that is all what we see every day. If you listen to cybersecurity news every day, every time you hear from China, from Russia, from Nigeria as well. Nigeria is very simple. They only use my name is Prince. So they know us and then we know them as well. So to avoid that, because malicious email will be sent to all these users, how are they going to protect it? How are they going to stop it to safeguard the client's data and the individual data as well? Because as an employee, your personality needs to be protected as well. So that's why we need to put a firewall to secure here at the gate. So this is the LAN, this is the WAN, and then this is our gateway. So between our gateway and our internal router, there should be a firewall. So that's where we need to put a firewall here. Let me delete this one. I will configure them one by one, and then they will communicate, and then we talk about some routing protocols that internet is using to communicate, like OSPF, BGP, and RIP. Those ones, I will just touch base on them briefly because we are not network engineer. We know how to do it, but we don't want to waste our time on it. Me, I know how to do many of them. And then on your own part, you need a lot of time to do lab and study. It's not easy, it's not difficult, but it is not a cut and nail. Say, I will just do it this way and I'll get this way. Some people, it can work for them. When we're starting this journey together, I said, everybody should know what works for himself or herself. Some people dig deep before they get things. Some people just dig surface and they get things. So you should know what works for you. So now, if I may ask now, at this point, what would be our first line of action here? Can anybody try? Okay, you are being employed to design this. This is the design, you give it to us. Oh, fine. Thank you. You have designed it. Let's give it to our engineer. So now the work of architect is to design. It can move away because most of the time architect can come from background of project management. He has given it to you. You now, they give you a firewall. You put it inside his topology. It is your job to design these two ports, port 2 and port 1, to allow communication or traffic to come from LAN to WAN. That's our own job. But most of the time, this design is
Excuse me, can you say that again?
What I said is the job of an architect is to design this topology,
Okay.
and give it to the organization. They may do 3, 4, 5 meetings only to get this thing done.
Okay.
Because different opinion, different consideration will be coming in. So now, when architect is done with his own job, he will give it to the network engineer. So when the network engineer, they will handle the devices, but you, as a firewall engineer or security engineer, you'll be given a firewall. So that firewall, our job is to make sure that we allow a traffic or traffics to come from LAN to WAN by configuring the port 1 and port 2. If you have additional ports, we can configure it. But on this surface, on this design, what we are meant to do is just to configure the port 1, port 2, and port 1.
Into the firewall?
Yeah.
Okay.
How would you do that? We'll do that. We'll handle all those one at a later date. And then how to, now, we have not assigned any IP yet.
Hello, sir.
IPv4 or IPv6. Hello?
Yeah, I have a question. So
Okay.
I just want to ask, in real life, as in when we start working, is it that we are not going to be the one doing this topology?
Yeah, that's what I want to ask too. That's a good question. Yes.
Yeah, we are not the one designing this topology. The topology has been designed.
Okay.
Fine, but don't be surprised, because what I'm saying is where I find myself is what I'm using to checkmate us now. Because if not, I have this visual idea before I got the job. And then when I got the job, I continue learning vigorously. So when I meet you, for example, now, you are our client. The first thing I will ask you is, can you send me the topology so that I can have the overview of your network? Okay. If I don't have the topology, how will I know where to configure what?
Okay, so sir, so who are those that create the topology?
Architect.
Architect. Okay, so the work of the engineer is just to follow this configuration.
Yes. And then, mind you, we can work as an architect too. Hello. But that's on the rare cases. Because hello. Now I have a brother, he's working with Palo Alto.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, but in case if you are asked now that there is a new client that they want you to set up a kind of network for, what will you do? You're not the one that configured the topology from the start.
You have a new client, they want you to do what?
They need a new client for you to reach out to, kind of. And they're adding something to the topology.
Okay, what are they adding? The question is, what are they adding? They adding new firewall, or are they adding new switch, or what?
Maybe let's say if we're on a Cisco environment, that the ASA, they are working on ASA, and all of a sudden they want to go to MDFW.
Okay, that's what I do every day.
to do that? As a
Okay, this is
student?
what the question you ask is this. When next time you hear that kind of question, what they are trying to tell you is they are trying to migrate. That's a migration.
Okay.
So now that is very simple. You just need to know where they are migrating for. It's like you have one small shop, you want to go to bigger shop.
Okay.
It's very simple, and then they will give you everything you need. Just for you.
Both the
to-
top destination and the port and the.
Yeah, they will give you everything you need. Your own job is to work with the interfaces, work with the objects, work with the zones, with zone and group objects, and migrate it to the new one. That's one of my job, one of the projects I'm handling with Super Alloy. It's a company in Cincinnati. They are migrating from Checkpoint to FortiGate. So the same thing you are saying now, that's what I'm working on with them. So that one is no problem. So now, for the purpose of people that don't know much about networking, as you see it now, this is just an empty devices. They are brand new one. Nothing is inside. They give it to you. Just assume that you have been given new out-of-the-box devices. Configure it, because they will ask you during the interviews, can you configure out-of-the-box devices, out of the box like switch, routers, firewall? The answer should be yes. Last week now, I bought
So can we answer yes to that question?
yes. Now the answer should be yes, because that's what we do now. That's what I would do before this thing can communicate. I will need to configure them.
Even when we don't have idea of how it works on the onset.
Why will we not the high idea? This is what I'm saying now. You don't have, it's no idea.
Okay.
Except after this one now, you don't go over to do it on your own or to read more about it. Because now, let us mean now, I've been given this router. I will power it on. That's the first line of duty. I'll power it on because there will be a power button. This one we are working on. This is the virtual machines.
Excuse me, please. Are we going to start from the router 9?
No, forget about the naming convention for now.
Okay.
Just look at the topology as it is. Okay, let me do it like this. Let me do internal router. And then this one will be ISP. Not until I started doing interview before I know what is ISP. Now ISP can be Comcast, AT&T, they have.
Those are the providers.
Yes, have a lot of them there. So ISP router is always at the edge, because when you contact them, if you have for example, now you have a big corporate, you have a production line, maybe you have a big factory. You contact them that you have a big factory and you have a lot of network devices. They will bring their router to you. That's what we call ISP router. It is an edge router. It is internet ready, but they will give you what they call public IP. This is public IP. The one inside here, inside the LAN, is called private IP. We've worked on IP before. We have talked about private and public IP before. But if anybody has a strange definition about it, we can still go over it. But this is how it works.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm just joining you today. The question I have is, okay, you said the ISP, they provide you with a router,
Yes.
right? With the IP,
Yes.
which is a public IP. So
Yes.
who's going to create the other IP that is going to the internet source?
That is our job.
Okay.
Because their own router has been configured. You can't touch it. If you
Okay.
have issue with their router, you need to call them. That's what we call them all the time.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Is that clear now?
Yes, yes.
So they will give you a range of IPs. It may be 5, it may be 10, but it's not funny. You pay for it.
So
So
is that one going to be dynamic or static, or it's just going to be?
it's going to be dynamic IP. It's going to be
Okay.
no. You see, it's going to be both. It depends
Okay.
what you are using in your environment, because they've given you a public IP
Yes.
or 2 or 3 or 4 public IP. Is now left to you your type of routing protocol you are using or you want to use.
Okay.
To connect to their router. So when we reach that area, we touch base on it.
Okay.
So now, if somebody is very curious enough, you see that this is just one device here, each of them is one. This is not obtainable on a good environment, because if this device is failed, for example, now, I start it up, after 24 hours, it stopped working. What will happen to the business?
Oh, shut down.
This will be shut down. And then maybe you are operating, you have a clinic or you are hospital that many of your patients' life depends on internet. So that is why we always do it on HA deployment. It's always be 2. Each of the device will be 2. I may not do that one now, but just having in mind, it can be 1. It is HA deployment. Let me check. Maybe I have let me show. I have a diagram here that can bring that. Okay, let me go here. Okay, give me 1 minute. I need to check for the device, the diagram. Because once we know it, and then we move on. Most of the time, it will be deployed in HA mode. It can be 111. Okay, there you go. I got it. Let me share this screen. Okay, if you can see the other screen, let me know. This one, where you see 2 router, 2 layer 3 switch, and the 1, 2, 3, 4 layer 2 switch. Can we see that? Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you see the screen that contains 2, 2, 2, and 4 layer 2 switch?
Yes, you can see that.
Yes.
Okay, cool. This is how it is always be in a typical enterprise level. I've seen environment where they have only 1 router inside, they have 1 switch inside, but it's a small organization, very small. Their firewall is 2. Most of the places I've worked, they only have 2 pair of firewall, because when one goes down, another one can take place. This is what is called fully redundancy or full redundancy, no outage.
What do you mean by no outage? What does that mean?
Outage means it's like when light goes off.
Okay.
That is outage. So there's a blackout. So, but when you have it deployed in pair like this, if one goes down, it's difficult for both of them to go down once. It's very rare.
Okay.
So now, if you look at this switch, they connected to the layer 3 switch, all of them the same way. If you look at the two interfaces come from each of the switches to the layer 3 switch. And then it goes to the router. So that's it. So for that, let's have it at the back of our minds, and then we end up configure something like this. So let me quickly on this router today, and then I will show us some basic configuration, the interfaces on the Cisco router. I've emphasized on this before that we are working with Cisco routers. And then having Cisco router doesn't mean that's the only one we have in the market. Cisco dominated the networking market. They have more than 80% market share. So they have a lot of routers and switches in the market. So most organizations that you find yourself working, you'll be using more of Cisco devices. However, they may not use security because they are not good in security. They may use something else. They may use another vendor for their security device, but most of the time you'll find that it is Cisco switch or Cisco router you see on the network. So what we do, we'll be configuring the routers, how it should be best standard, how it should be, no shortcut, it is obtainable anywhere, it is practicable everywhere, it can be replicated anywhere. The same thing, because anything that can work on this router, any configuration that can work on this router can work on production environment. I hope I make myself clear on that. So this one, let me try it again because on it comes down. So far so good. Any question?
Hello?
Questions?
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, I can't see the one you're explaining now. I'm still on the special switch, full redundancy, and no outage page.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go. So now, this my switch, my router is not coming up. I will delete it and bring another one. Because it's my own, I can play with it. But if you find yourself in environment, working environment, you don't delete it, you don't shut it down. If it has a problem, if you cannot solve it, you escalate it. You don't shut it down, you don't do things out of whims. Say, yeah, I can just do like this. No, everything has protocols. And then there's what they call maintenance window. They have maintenance window, and then there must be an approval. To touch any of the devices, there must be an approval. It's not something I can just wake up from my bed and say, okay, I have access to this, and then I start working on it. No, there must be a need for it, there must be approval for it, and then there must be a timeline for it.
Okay, I have a question too.
Okay.
This one that we are doing now, this is for enterprise, right?
Yes.
This configuration is for enterprise.
Yes.
Now, for home use, like for private network, something,
Yes.
do they have a firewall too?
The question should be house by you, house. Do you have a firewall in your house?
No.
Okay, that's why if somebody want to get if you have something in your house now, what they call IoT, you can be in London, somebody will switch it off and on for you.
Okay.
So because there's no firewall.
So that means anybody can just access my IP and just.
Yes, of course. It's very easy, self. Very easy. Like peasy and busy. Easy peasy. There are some applications that can do that right now as we speak. That can just decode what the IP is, where your MAC address is, but it is not legal. Quote me on that. It is illegal, but people are doing it. Everybody knows that stealing is bad, but people are still stealing. So that is how it flies. The same thing applies to networking too. People break into another person's network. Like now, if I come to your environment, I downloaded some application, stay very close to your window or your environment or your house. I run the application, it will talk to all the firewall, all the Wi-Fi in that environment. Once they can talk to that application, they can tell me their password. It is illegal, fine, but people are doing it. It's not difficult. So now, if you look at this topology now, we'll be using that word topology because that is what the professionals use. It's not It's not, it may not be fancy, but it's just topology. So,
Sometimes those words can confuse you.
so this is topology, and then this is my RFC 1918. So we'll be configuring this IP address on these routers and switches, and then on the Windows. Without having IP on this, none of them will communicate. So when we assign IP on this, we configure these routers, and then we put IP on all these ones. They will communicate. They will communicate first if they don't want to go to internet. If they are going to internet, we need to configure this firewall. This firewall is Fortinet. We have, let me go to Firewall Gartner. You see how many firewall we have in the industry. They are very good. Number one is Palo Alto, Firewall Gartner report. Firewall Quadrant 2022. Let me go here. Image. Okay. Can you see the screen? Hello?
Yes. Oh,
Can you
it's
see
gone.
this? Can you see the
okay.
screen?
Yes.
Okay. These are the firewall leaders we have in the market now. You see, we have Palo Alto Networks, we have Fortinet, we have Cisco, we have Checkpoint. Wow. Checkpoint is even number 4 now. See,
Can I ask one question? All these firewalls, are they like devices or just how do I put it?
Some is software.
Software, huh?
You see, they have what you need. I've said all this in the beginning.
Okay.
They have physical appliances, they have virtual machines.
Okay, okay.
They have both. It's like when you are talking about antivirus, we have antivirus that's software, we have device.
Yeah.
So is that answer your questions?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, now look at the major firewalls we'll be talking about as time goes by. We're talking about this Palo Alto, Fortinet, Cisco SA, and Checkpoint. But as of now, if you look at the leaders, look at it, the table, you see that we have 4 leaders. Number 1 is Palo Alto. Number 2 followed by Fortinet. Number 3 Cisco. Number 4 Checkpoint. Checkpoint goes oh my God. You see Checkpoint? Checkpoint was the number 1 before. Checkpoint was number 1 before, because the owner of Palo Alto was an employee in Checkpoint before he created this company. So if talent is not hardworking will be talent. That's what's happening now. Look at it, it's number 4 now. They are the set of people that started network security business in the old world, Checkpoint. So now look at them, they are number 4 now. Cisco follow. And the Cisco is one of the worst security appliances. But look at them, they are still number 4. Because maybe they have some fancy word to describe their appliances now. Who knows? So let's move on. So now we have seen that it's not only Fortinet we have other firewall. It depends what the organization wants. Don't let us be stereotyped in our thinking about how this is. Look at this now. Look at all this now. We have Windows. You can find yourself in an environment where they are using Linux. You can find yourself in an environment where they are using Mac. All their devices will be Mac OS or MacBook and all that. So what we just need, they're all the same. You just need to have a basic understanding that before any of them can communicate, they must have IP address, or as case may be. So if any of them is not communicating, the first thing you need to check is the interfaces. All these are interview questions. say if what would be the first thing you need to check if there's a problem in the network. You check the interfaces, if they are up and running. You check if the device, a particular device has IP address. Because when you have an IP address, it can communicate. So that's it. So now, last week we tried to, we put IP address on this. Some of us did all this, and then the router, we have not configured that one. But let me do something quickly because I would love us to call it a day from here because this is 110 already. Let's do something quickly. I just want to tell us the way, why this is now coming up, the routing protocols that's dominant in the market that we can put our mind, that we can read on. We will configure them here, but pending that, you can go and read about them. And then if you know, if you have any question, you can reach back to me. I will put some more light on it. So most common one is static. We have static routing, and then dynamic routing. So under the dynamic routing, we have OSPF and BGP. OSPF, BGP, and RIP. And then RIP and EIGRP. So all this one, they are dynamic routing protocol. I will say something about them as you go.
I'm not seeing your screen.
You want to see my screen? No, my screen. That's the same screen I'm sharing too. But you can see the lab?
Yes.
Okay, if I can see the lab,
Yeah.
just typing
Okay.
something.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just typing something on the lab. So static routing, as the word means, it means static. You need to assign it yourself. All this dynamic routing, they populate their routing protocol or their paths automatically. It is what is majorly used in big enterprises and then in ISP. If you hear of BGP, BGP is dominantly used by ISP. That's why some people say BGP is a routing protocol of internet. RIP, the same, and EIGRP. EIGRP is Cisco proprietary protocol. That's why it's not popular. But all this one, they call them open source. OSPF is open source, BGP is open source. Open source is recent. It means any device can use it. Is that clear enough?
Yeah, what's the meaning of BGP, please?
BGP is border gateway routing protocol.
So border gateway routing protocol.
Yes. OSPF is open shortest path first.
Protocol. And OSPF?
Yes. Open shortest path first. When we are configuring it, I will show you how those name is.
What about the RIP?
If you can write those things down, read more about them, fine. But don't worry about yourself, say you want to become a champion in there, because it's more than enough to read. It's more than enough. And then majorly, this routing protocol is majorly done by network engineers. It's not our job per se, but we should know it. Because if you find yourself in an environment whereby they are using routing, dynamic routing protocol, you should be able to do it. on the, like now, I can configure OSPF on firewall, I can configure BGP on firewall, I can configure EGRP and RIP. Is not too common. It's not too common on an enterprise because like EIGRP is a Cisco proprietary protocol. So it is limited for Cisco environments. And then RIP is more or less outdated. So if you want to focus your attention, learning anything here, just learn OSPF and BGP.
Okay.
So having said that, so now can we move on by configuring these devices, the router and all this, or we call it a day, because this is 116. If we can call it a day, next time we meet, we just start configuring. But if you want us to move on, me, I'm still here.
Let's configure.
Okay. So now you're only one talking now. Any other person, if anybody has a contrary opinion, we should know. So now what we need to do, let's test first. Before you do anything, you test. We go to HR lab. See now maybe you are called that, oh, we can talk to window 4. If you look at here, there's one win 4. This is window 4. See one HR person.
When you're told you're not good enough.
HR person told you that they cannot talk to window 4. So what can you do? You say, okay, let me see your device. You go to HR device. This is, can you see this window open?
Yes.
Okay. You go to it. You click on this search bar and you type CMD. This is command prompt, CMD. So when you click on CMD, it will open. There's a command called ipconfig. Check the IP address. It will be on lowercase. ipconfig.
Are we going to type that?
Yes.
ipconfig.
Yeah. So when you type it and you click enter. So when you click enter, you see that he has an IP address, but it's not on this our LAN IP, and there is not on. Okay, let me meet everyone because some people are. Okay, now meet everyone now. So now, if you look at it, the configuration say auto, which is dynamic. We have talked about DHCP before, and then we have talked about static IP. So now you compare this IP to the one you were given. Maybe you have been given 192.168.10.0/24. That is, your manager said assign IP from this assign IP from this range to all these devices here. So, okay, let me take. All right, give me 1 minute. Okay. Hello? Hello? I'm back, but I have a visitor quickly. Can I give you, Mr. G,
Yes.
can I give you a control? Can you assign IP to this? Or can anybody can assign IP
Yeah.
to this?
I can try.
It's not try, it should be confident to say, oh, I'll do that.
Okay, I'll do that.
Because it's not that difficult.
No, it's not.
It's not difficult. So let me check if I can give you control. Okay, this one, I don't think I can give you control. I'm looking for it. If I can give you control, I want somebody to try it, because it is not about looking at it, learning every day. It's about doing it. And then once you are doing it on your own, you'll get it. And then this is what it is obtainable in any environment. It is in the enterprise environment. Like now, this is Windows 10. Windows 10 is everywhere. Now we have Windows 11, fine, but Windows 10 is Windows 10. They have Edge, they have Chrome and all that. If you open your system, this is what you see. This is just a virtual machine. The virtual machine, that means this same virtual machine, this same software, it is what they put on your operation machine. For example, now, if you buy a laptop and you want to upgrade to, maybe when I was having a Windows 7, I wanted to upgrade to Windows 10 then. I downloaded Windows 10 software, which is something like this. And then I upload it, I run it. So your laptop is just an housing case. It's a case. It's a device. It's just an hardware if it doesn't have an operation system on it. So this is the example of operation system, but it's a software that is running. So that is just it. Let's move on. So what are we going to do here now?
We go to search,
Okay, we'll go to search.
control panel.
Okay, we type control panel. Okay, control panel.
Excuse me, where did you get the search, please?
You go to search button on your computer.
See
Okay, the search button. Okay, all right. Where you got the CMD? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
put control panel.
Control panel. You click on it.
You click on it. Then you go to network and sharing.
Okay.
Click on that. So you go to Ethernet.
Okay.
Then you go to property.
Okay.
Then look for IP4 and V4.
IPv4.
Yeah. I barely see the screen, but that's why I'm
Okay.
to check that you click OK.
So are you trying to get your IP address or what?
Yes, we are trying to assign an IP to one of the computer.
Okay.
Okay.
So this one, is it going to generate the IP for you, IP address for you or what?
No,
No,
it's not going to generate any IP. You have been given IP already.
have been
You're going
given
to
an
assign IP
you
here.
assign to each one of the computer, which is one of them is 192.168.10.0/ is this /24 or something?
Yeah.
So then when you
Excuse me, how did you come about those numbers? Yeah.
Bro, you are going far back. So let's move on first.
I will discuss with you later.
Okay, all right.
So have you clicked on that IPv4?
Yeah.
So
I click on it. I don't need to
then we assign, we put 192. 168.
Okay.
.10.
.0. No.
No.
You can assign from 0 from 1 to
So we'll
4.
put 1.
Okay, we can put 1.
Yeah.
And then we'll put the subnet mask,
Yeah.
and then we'll put the gateway if you have any gateway.
We haven't get
So on this case now, we can put our gateway to be 192.168.10. You can put okay, we'll make this one dot 5, and then we'll put our gateway dot 1.
Okay.
No meaning of that gateway.
You say if you know the meaning of the gateway.
Yeah.
I don't want to mess it up, but I think it's for the firewall, you know.
No. The gateway is this, and they need to pay attention to that, because even if no matter how many years you've been working, you just need to pay attention to it. Gateway is like you are moving from Atlanta, you are going from Atlanta to New York.
Okay.
JF Kennedy is your gateway. If you're flying. Right?
Yes.
So now you are moving from this HP HR laptop. You are going to internet, for example. Where will be your gateway?
That's the firewall now, or the router.
No, the router will be your gateway.
Yeah, router. Okay.
If you are moving from this router,
there is 2 router here. There is 2 router. One is for one, the other one is for one, right?
There are 2 router, but I'm saying you are coming from HR laptop, going to the window 4.
Okay, I see that.
Gateway will be this router.
Yes.
So now, the same thing applies to thinking that way, thinking our network security thinking should be the next up is our gateway. The next up, if it is router or a firewall. For example, now from this firewall perspective, the gateway is now the ISP router.
Yes.
So it depends what you are working on. Yes, what you are working on and where you are coming from. For example, now, if there's a problem now, we have assigned IP to this laptop now, for example, right?
Yes.
Now, the first test is to ping our gateway. If you want to test now, say, okay, let's ping our gateway. Our gateway should be 192.168.10.1, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll ping our gateway. If you cannot ping your gateway, you should know that, oh, this is not a firewall problem, because now you can't even pass your gateway. Like now, you are going to New York. You can't even reach JF Kennedy Airport. You're not talking about New Jersey. Before you can talk about New Jersey, you must reach your airport, take a taxi, go to New York, go to New Jersey, or go inside New York suburb, New York. Maybe you're going to Manhattan or Queens or whatever. So I'm just using that illustration to let us know that it's the same thing on the network. You must know where you are coming from device, where you're coming from. What are the other devices in between that can make the network not be true? Those are the high level overview of troubleshooting, to look at it from that. Because now you can't reach this router, for example. Now you can't be talking about window 4. You can't say, let me go and check window 4. You must know that the problem must start from router first. This is what they call divide and conquer method of troubleshooting.
Okay.
Okay, so now we have configured this HR lab. Let's configure the finance one quickly. So we ping it. If both of them can talk, we call it a day, because I have a visitor now. So quickly, we go to, I told us the other time that there are so many ways to go to our, to get our IP. You can follow this route, you can follow the other route. So Windows is very easy to manage than Macs, because Mac is not common, or Linux. Linux is not too common like Windows. So if you know Windows, how to assign IP, how to troubleshoot it, is a plus. It's not difficult at all. What is difficult then is having time to play around with it. And then pay attention to this. You see their gateway are the same. They are passing through the same channel. This is, I'm just assigning DNS to them. That is Google DNS. We have talked about Mr. Dai, we have talked about this one before, so don't bother yourself much. So now, like I said before, if you look at these two, HL Lab and Finance Laptop, they can communicate because we can ping them. Ping 192.168.10. The other one is .5, right? .5. See, they can communicate. This is to test that they can communicate. How? We are having a reply from .5. And then this is time to leave. When I first, this is from Finance Laptop. If you go to HR Laptop 2, when we first try this ping 10.1, you see, you say the network is not reachable.
Not reachable.
But now, because we have assigned IP to Finance Laptop, it has a 6.6. If you ping it, it will be able to communicate because they are on the same network. We talk about switch the other time, that switch is not segmenting network, it expands network. It's like you have a junction box in your house. You want to extend your connection. So if you plug the jump box cable to the wall, that means light will be on the surface, on all the sockets. So once you plug any of your device there, they can get like electricity, right? The same thing applies to this switch. As you plug any of your device to the interfaces, they will get the same network. Because switch is not segmenting network, only router does that. Okay, quickly, the only thing I can do on this router today is I'll just show us faces of Cisco router, their faces, their interfaces and all that. And then we call it a day, maybe tomorrow or next week, because I said we should cover it up last week already. If we can work on Monday to Friday, we'll cover all this and then we'll move on to firewall and then we'll cover it up too. Firewall will not take us time, but we just need to have our own lab to play around with. And then I gave us some link to download Packet Tracer. Some of us have downloaded it, and everybody are having problem, whatever, should let me know, because there's no alternative to practicing on your own. There's no alternative. I don't want to know the kind of lecture the person received. I don't want to know. Me, I've received, I've attended a lecture in the where I work now. They pay for 5,000 for 4 days. I didn't learn anything. 5 days lecture, I didn't learn anything. How? They condense something that would take like 4 months into 5 days. So when I started learning something, it was when I started working on the same lab given to us by myself, reading the documentation by myself. So that's what helped me a little bit. So now, if you open, this is a brand new Cisco device. If you log into the console, this is what you get. And then this place is called, this one you are seeing like greater sign, is called user mode. You can write it down if you want. This is user mode. From user mode, you cannot do much configuration. You can just check some stuff. But if you want to do some configuration, you need to go to privilege mode. How can we go to privilege mode from the Cisco device? We do what they call enable. There's a command called enable. So this is enable. You click enter. It will change to another sign. Pay attention to the sign. See now, it's on to narrow sign. This is called privilege mode. You don't need to memorize the name, but you need to pay attention to the sign. And then some of the configuration will be throwing out. So now, from this, we can do a lot of stuff. We can do show, we can do this, we can do that. Now, if you want to check our interfaces, look at this router. We have 3 routers connected. We have 3 interfaces connected with. So now, for us to be certain that, okay, which IP address is there before? Does it working before? We need to check the interface. How are we going to do that? We need to run this command, show IP interface. It's not overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed at a lot of command. No, memorize it. Just it will rob you naturally. So we click enter. So if you look at it, it said IP address unassigned. Can we all see this?
Yes.
Yes.
So we have not assigned. It's a brand new device. You have been given this device out of the box. Nothing is there. They give it to you, okay, go and configure it. So how can we do that? The next thing to do, now we have satisfied our curiosity that it doesn't have IP address. So what is the next thing for us to do? We need to do what? We need to configure it. How can we do that? We need to do configure. This is another command, configure terminal. There's a short form of this, but I'm just writing it out for the first time and the last time. Next time I'll be using the short form because it's very easy for me to use the short form. Configure
So what's the short
terminal.
form for this one now?
Config T.
Config T.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. My people. It seems okay. Let me enter. You come here. So let's call it a day from here. I have a visitor. I'm very sorry. If we have anybody have time or we can connect from Monday to Friday, let me know from the chat and I will send this video to us when it's processed. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
So
Okay.
bye-bye.
Thank you.